Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and I'm here to review VHS 99, and this is the latest of this anthology horror series, and this is my second entry in this franchise that I've checked out. The only one that I've seen up to this point was VHS 94, so I didn't really have a whole lot of perspective on exactly what this franchise was about when I went to the last film, but generally had the idea of, like, this is a group of anthology horror short films strung together in some shape or form. And this particular one, I feel like the glue that holds them all together doesn't feel as cohesive as, say, at least 94, which is the only other one that I've seen. And it's actually hard to keep track of what exactly is the through point. There are some fun, like, it's like toy soldiers, and it gets pretty gruesome and kind of silly little shots in between some of the short films, and even like the first short film dealing with this like punk band and stuff like that. Generally, with this particular outing with VHS, I feel like most of them take too long to get going, and you're sitting there. This is an hour and 48-minute film total, and I feel like it feels so much longer because you have to wait for so many of them to even get into a place where it's like, oh, I kind of get what's going on here. Because you have some really talented filmmakers here, which, like Joseph and Vanessa Winter, who just did Deadstream, which I thought was pretty great on Shudder. They do To Hell and Back. Johannes Roberts did Suicide Bid, who previously had done like 48 Meters and stuff like that. And the not so great Welcome to Raccoon City. But you have, and like Flying Lotus, who's a composer, winds up directing this Ozzy's Dungeon one. That one in particular, it spends so much time doing the setup, and like it was a fun nod to like Legends of the Hidden Temple, which was so 90s, and I enjoyed that. But I feel like at least like 3 of these stories take way too long to get started, but in general, I did have a lot of fun with each of these stories and the horror elements that they incorporated. They did some shocking and unexpected things in each of them. I think probably the one that I enjoyed the most was To Hell and Back, because like the amount of like gruesome, grotesque like makeup and prosthetics that they utilize for a bunch of weird demonic beings in this hellscape that these 2 men wind up getting dropped in, I thought was a lot of fun. You also have like the Suicide Bid, which was about, like, if you ever seen Buried with Ryan Reynolds, kind of the same idea with it, except it has a bit of a twist on it. You have this one, Gawkers, which is these young kids, which that one does take quite a bit to actually get going too. Each of them have some pretty impressive shock value, especially at some point in each of the stories. It's just some of them were a bit messy. Like the shredding one, it was hard for me to even keep track of what the heck was going on, like narratively, for the first half of that short film. And generally, this particular VHS edition felt a little messier, felt a little more disjointed, but I still had fun with each of these stories. They have some fun horror elements. And in the end, for an hour and 48 minutes, getting like 5 of these little horror stories, I still think it's worth it. It's going to be on Shudder, so you could sit back, stream it, and have a spooky good time for Halloween. So even if this isn't great and it doesn't really live up to some of the other entries, I think it's a fine addition to this horror anthology franchise. But those are my thoughts on VHS 99. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.